All right, welcome into the postgame show, everybody. Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. I'm Dan Tanner for In the Paint reaction to Nuggets and Kings. It's just about to end there at Ball Arena. The Kings hold a 126-120 lead over the Denver Nuggets on the Nuggets' second game of a back-to-back. They get in at 2:30 in the morning last night. Don't get to bed till 3:30 a.m. David Adelman said before this game that he thought that tonight's game was going to be the toughest back-to-back of the season. And it certainly proved out, especially there in the fourth quarter, like we just witnessed. The Nuggets had the lead at halftime. They started out shooting the ball really well, especially from beyond the arc. Peyton Watson started the game 3 of 4 from 3 with 11 points. Cam Johnson was 2 of 3 early on in this game from deep. The Nuggets started out 6 of 9 overall from beyond the arc. But you could tell towards the end of the second quarter and into the second half, the Nuggets' legs just kind of left them. I mean, that was obvious. They started off, like I said, really well from 3, and then they went on a 5 for 28 stretch after that from 3. So clearly, this grueling schedule that they've had finally caught up to them in the second half. And look, the Kings had something to prove tonight. They had lost 8 straight games coming into this one. They've had a really rough stretch of the season. Russell Westbrook, I'm sure, desperately wanted to get a win over this team tonight in Denver, and it looks like they're just going to do that. So valiant effort there from the Nuggets at the end. Yep, Joker just missed a 3 and wanted a foul call. Let's see if it was a foul. I don't know. It's tough to say. Yeah, so good effort from Joker. He actually did get the foul. Excuse me. So he's going to the line. So Nuggets hanging on by a thread here. Joker has had a fantastic night. I mean, talk about one of the guys that was clearly not affected from the back-to-back. I mean, 16 of 27 from the field. That's what all of that work Joker puts in during the season in the weight rooms after games. He goes and lifts after every game. This is where it pays off. And to be honest with you, I thought Jamal Murray actually looked pretty good down the stretch here. But the shooting from the outside was clearly an issue. The shots were falling short. They just couldn't get a stop on defense. That was really the biggest key. I mean, the offense seemed okay throughout this game, besides the outside shooting that, like I said, took a dip, but they could not get a stop on the defensive end, and that just really hurt them. Sacramento, you could tell they just had their legs going in this game throughout this, and it really became apparent when they were just driving straight to the rim as this game wore on, and the Nuggets couldn't get a stop. So, yeah, I was kind of having a back and forth with Vic Lombardi on Twitter during the game, and we were talking about, somebody had tweeted at Vic and said that, this isn't fair to the players from around the league. Does Adam Silver want to see good basketball or not? Which I think are all like valid concerns. And I share some of those as well, to be honest with you. Now, what I would say is they're never going to shorten the season. That's not going to happen, okay? Because who does Adam Silver work for? The owners. What does more games mean? It means more money in the owner's pocket. So that's not going to happen. So I was trying to think of, like, what are some of the solutions the NBA could come up with to not have scenarios like we do tonight. And look, I'm not just saying this from a Denver Nuggets perspective. This is a grueling part of the schedule. But, man, this is a league-wide problem. I mean, the Nuggets are in the thick of the rough part of their schedule right now, just as far as the game, backs-to-backs, the travel. They have to get on a plane tomorrow and go on the road again. But this is a league-wide problem. Like, every team in the NBA is going to have rough stretches at various points throughout the regular season on their schedule. It just so happens that it's happening to the Nuggets right now. So is there a way to avoid these types of scenarios that we witnessed tonight for the league, not just for the Nuggets, but for the league as a whole. So one of the ideas I was talking with Vic about was if the NBA extended the regular season calendar by 10 days, you could avoid a lot of these scenarios that we're seeing here tonight. I mean, now here's the problem, okay? If you extend the season by 10 days, it would cut out a lot of these scenarios, but that's 10 less days for the players' offseason. So would the players be open to that? I don't know. I do not know. And it just went final. 128-123 is your final there at Ball Arena. The Kings in their 8-game losing streak. Nuggets fall on the second night of a back-to-back. So with this grueling schedule, it's brought up a lot of conversations about, does the NBA need to change up their regular season calendar to avoid scenarios like this for the entire league? Like I said, this is a league-wide issue. The schedule is very compressed, very, very compressed into a short period of time. Now, the NHL, I think, does it a little better because they start their season 2 to 2.5 weeks before the NBA regular season starts. I think it's right around 2 weeks. I mean, they play the same amount of games. Now, the NHL is adding 2 games to their regular season starting next year, by the way. They'll be going to an 84-game schedule. I think the NBA is going to follow suit at some point. I don't know when that's going to be, but I would have to venture to guess that the NBA owners would like to add 2 more games to the schedule as well. So with that being said, they're going to have to extend the calendar and not have such a compressed regular season. But the problem, like I said, is are the players going to want to have a shorter offseason? I would venture to guess that their answer would be no. Now, this is where they would have to talk to the players and say, well, you can't have it both ways. You want to get rid of the back-to-back, as many of the back-to-backs. There's always going to be back-to-backs, but they could space it out and not have as many. So would you rather have that, less back-to-backs in the regular season, but you got to come to work an extra 10 days that normally would be your off season? I threw out the idea that just get rid of the preseason, both in the NHL and the NBA, by the way, and the NFL. Like, I think that's eventually where this is all headed. Now, we have seen the NFL add an extra game, and they did get rid of a preseason game. So maybe the leagues could sort of slow walk it to where, because there's 6 preseason games in both hockey and basketball right now. Well, I think they could easily get away with cutting that down to 2. Because let's be honest, they don't need 6 preseason games, all right? Half of the guys don't even play in half of the preseason games anyways, especially the starters. Like, Nikola Jokic doesn't need more than 2 preseason games before the season. And a lot of people might say, well, what about the young guys? They need to get in there and get reps and be able to have a chance at growing. Well, that's what the G League's for. And if there are certain rules or restrictions with the G League, that's something that they could negotiate between the league and the NBA Players Association. Like, open up the G League more, have it the two-way contracts even more free flowing. That's just an idea that I have. But the fact of the matter is, these crazy back-to-backs, 3 games in 4 nights, 4 games in 6 nights, it's ridiculous. It's not fair to the players, and more importantly, it's not fair to the fans. The fans that paid to go see this at Ball Arena tonight, that's not fair to them. No, I think the Nuggets actually put in a pretty damn good effort, considering their circumstances. So the fact that they were able to do that, to put in the effort they did, was honestly kind of surprising to me. And I know it's against the dog crap Kings, But the Nuggets were set up to fail. It's a scheduled loss. We've all heard that term, scheduled loss. I think the NBA and the NHL could avoid these scenarios by extending the regular season calendar and eliminating at least half of the preseason games. So I don't know. I mean, I just think the preseason is useless, quite honestly. If I was in charge, I would just get rid of it. Period. End of story. No preseason. Hell, Bill, how many times did we hear Bill Belichick, when he was coaching the New England Patriots, talk about how the first month of the NFL regular season is essentially an extension of the preseason anyways? I mean, that's essentially what we're getting in the NBA and NHL anyways. It's teams just trying to figure out who they are and work their way into shape and figure out what kind of basketball team they're going to be. I don't know. It's just the way they're doing this schedule right now, it's not fair to the players, and it's especially not fair to the fans who pay to go to these games. It's just ridiculous. And then you get into scenarios. Look, we're only a month into the season. Imagine if the Nuggets had this grueling schedule in March. I would highly doubt that Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic would have been playing in this game tonight had this been a February or March game. And again, that's just not fair to the fans that are paying to go see them. And it's not like the players don't want to play in those games. But at that point in the season, the teams around the league, what are they thinking about? Getting their teams and players ready for the postseason run, if they're in position to make the playoffs, obviously. So I don't know. It's just frustrating. This happens every year. Like, this is nothing new. And like I said, every team in the NHL and the NBA goes through grueling parts of their schedule. And it will ease up for the Nuggets. It's just the way it works. But I think the league could do a better job of managing their schedule and spacing it out a little bit more. Now, the players have to do their part also. Number one, they've got to make sure to be coming into the season in as best shape as possible, especially if they're going to get rid of the preseason. That would have to be a massive emphasis from front offices around the league. Okay, we're getting rid of the preseason. You guys better come in into the season in shape. Maybe you have a preseason game. Or like, you know how the NFL does joint practices. Maybe in training camp you do a couple of exhibition games against another team. Something like that. But you don't need 6 preseason games. It's just ridiculous. And how compacted the schedule is it just doesn't make any sense. So I still think you can get the same amount of games in. You just got to do it over a little bit longer period of time. And I think that would alleviate a lot of the issues that we saw tonight. Because let's be honest, if the Nuggets had a day off before this game, there's no way in hell they're losing this game to the Kings. They almost beat them tonight. And the Kings were highly motivated. By the way, they were missing their best player. Domantas Sabonis, I can't even remember what his injury is, but he's going to be out for at least a couple of weeks. So the Kings did this without their best player and riding an 8-game losing streak heading into tonight's matchup. But I will say, like I said, I tell you what, Nikola Jokic, he did not look very affected by the grueling schedule. I mean, I thought he was phenomenal tonight, and he didn't look like he tired out in the fourth quarter. Adelman brought him back in with like 8.5 minutes to go in the fourth. I couldn't believe it. But Joker clearly, either Adelman knew or Joker told him that he was good to go, and obviously he was. I mean, Nikola Jokic finished with 44 points tonight on 16 of 28 shooting, 9 of 10 from the line, and 3 of 6 from 3, 50%. So he was as efficient as ever, as effective as ever, 13 rebounds, 7 assists. I mean, he was awesome. I thought Jamal Murray was pretty damn good tonight. All things considered, 23 points for Jamal. 9 of 18 shooting, 3 of 7 from 3, 9 assists. One of the problems was tonight, Peyton Watson, who I have been praising all year, and boy, has he blossomed. I mean, he has certainly taken the next step. Like I said earlier, starts the game 3 of 4 from 3, 11 points. But the problem is he only scored 4 points after that stretch. He finished with 15. Did shoot 6 of 10, 60% for P-Watt. Pretty damn good. But after he started the first quarter, like the first 5 minutes of the game, he was 3 of 4 from 3. He only attempted one more 3 the rest of the game, and he missed it. So some of these guys, you could see the fatigue starting to set in, and just the way she goes. I mean, just look at the second half. The Nuggets had a 1-point lead going into halftime. And if you were listening to the show last night, I was talking to D-Mac about how the Nuggets statistically are the best third quarter team in basketball so far this year, as far as net rating, point differential. They're the number one team in the NBA. They got outscored by 3 points in the third quarter tonight and outscored by 6 in the fourth. So they were up by 1 at halftime. I believe it was 1. It might have been a couple more. My apologies. They were up by 4. They were up by 4 at halftime. But they get outscored by 9 in the second half. So just a bummer. Spencer Jones, again, pretty useless on the offensive end. Still thought he gave good defensive effort, energy, hustle, all that stuff. Got 2 early fouls, so he kind of got out of rhythm early on in this game. And boy, he's kind of an enigma, Spencer Jones, because I do love what he does on the defensive end, but my goodness, he gives this team absolutely nothing on the offensive end. Now, he has the ability to knock down some outside shots. I mean, I believe in the G League, he was a 40% three-point shooter. So he does have that ability, although I think his shot is awkward as hell. Who was my guy down in Phoenix? I can't remember. His name's on the tip of my tongue. Sean Marion. Sean Marion was one of those guys that had the most awkward-looking shot, but it was effective, and he could go in. So maybe I'm not saying that Spencer Jones is going to be a shooter like Sean Marion, because he was a very, very good NBA three-point shooter. But at 40% in the G League, like, he can do it. He has the ability to do it. It just looks really, really awkward. Same as like when Jonas Valanciunas takes a 3. I'm just like, ugh. Please no. You thought Russ had an awkward looking shot from 3. Boy, he's gotten better from 3, has Russell Westbrook. And we saw that a little bit here last year when he was with the Nuggets, especially those corner threes. He's got those locked in pretty well. But you can't have a starter giving you 0 points last night and 1 point tonight. I mean, Spencer Jones has 1 point combined in the last 2 games, and he was starting. It's going to be really hard to get by in this league when you have one of your starters scoring 1 point over the course of 2 games. Really, really difficult. Jonas Valanciunas, man, he was impressive tonight, especially in the first half. I took a note on Jonas in the first half. He had some really impressive numbers. His first stint in for Nikola Jokic to start the second quarter, I thought he had great minutes. He had 8 points, a couple of rebounds, and shot 4 of 6 from the field in just over 7 minutes. And one of his misses was a 3-pointer from the top of the key. Like, Val, I love you, but I don't ever want to see him taking one of those shots again. I don't care if he was wide open too, but it was like, and it was really early into the shot clock. And I'm just sitting there like, is that really the shot we're going for here, guys? A Jonas Valanciunas 3 with like 15 seconds left on the shot clock. Barely drew iron on the shot. Now, to be fair to Val, we did see him hit a couple of those. I can't even remember what game that was, but we did see him hit a couple of those earlier on in the season. But I don't want him taking those shots, especially that early in the shot clock. If the shot clock's down to 2 seconds and you have to heave it up, I get it. But there is plenty of time to run a play, continue running the offense. So that was the only thing I didn't like from Valanciunas in his first stint in tonight's game. We got a couple of stints of Hunter Tyson in the game tonight. I have no idea why Hunter Tyson is on this basketball team, everybody. I really don't get it. I mean, maybe right now because of with the injury to Aaron Gordon and to Christian Brown. Okay, I guess. They did call up Deron Holmes, by the way. Didn't see him get into the game tonight. So as much as I hate to say this, that's not very good news for Aaron Gordon and his hamstring diagnosis. Adelman said before the game that AG is going to get a second opinion on his hamstring injury. That's not good news. I am not a doctor, but I can tell you that if you're looking for a second opinion, probably means you didn't like what you heard from the first opinion. So tough break for Aaron Gordon and the Nuggets. I was telling DMAC last night, I would not be shocked at all if Aaron Gordon misses several months with this injury, because hamstrings are a weird, fickle injury. Those things take forever to heal. And if you don't let them heal fully, they're very easy to re-injure. I saw somebody tweet out tonight, don't even bring back Aaron Gordon until the spring, which spring technically starts, March 20th, March 21st? I would rather them do that than risk him coming back too early and re-injuring his hamstring and not being able to either play at all in the playoffs or be, Aaron Gordon that this team needs come playoff time. So I don't want him to be out that long. And Nuggets fans, I know you don't want him to be out that long, but it's like, would you rather have him 100% come playoff time or risk re-injuring the hamstring if he comes back in January? I don't know. We'll know more. Adelman said before the game, we'll know more once he does get that second opinion. And look, I credit the team for being smart about this, and I hope they will be. Because he said, we want to make sure we fully understand the severity of this injury and exactly what it is and exactly what he needs to do to come back at 100%. But it's just like, it's a really tough scenario, especially with the hamstring stuff. All right, before we get out of here, do want to get to your comments on the game tonight. Let's see. I don't know how to pronounce your name, so I'm not even going to try, but they say Jamal missed that layup and then didn't get the rebound after playing good defense. It might have been a comment before that you were responding to. Deep Seek says garbage foul on Jones, but also bad sub of THJ and for Jones that led to Russ hitting that shot before Joker's three. Yeah, there were I will say there were a couple of, this was the first game I'd really had a couple of questions for Adelman as far as his subs go. I thought he missed an opportunity to sit Jokic with about 3 minutes to go in that third quarter. Joker ends up playing the entirety of the third. And I swear to God, by like minute 3 or with 3 minutes to go left in that third quarter, I was like, man, Adelman should take Jokic out here, because you could tell that the Nuggets were dead tired and struggling. And the reason I wanted him to do that is because I'm like, he's going to have to bring him back in with 8 to 10 minutes to go in the fourth, which is what ended up happening anyways. So I thought Adelman did miss an opportunity to sit Nikola Jokic that last 3 minutes of the third quarter. Now, would that have made a difference in tonight's game? There's no way to know that. I have no idea, but it was just a thought I had as the third quarter was winding down. Now, credit to Adelman in the first half of tonight's game. Jonas Valanciunas was playing so well in that second quarter that he didn't have to bring Jokic back into that second quarter until there was only 4 minutes and 30 seconds left in that second quarter. So he did get an extended rest there. Maybe that was part of Adelman's thinking. Well, he got the extended rest there in the second. I can run him a little bit more here in the third. Credit to Jonas Valanciunas, by the way. This was a scenario where, like Michael Malone, the last couple years, Jokic is coming back in no later than like 7 minutes to go in the second, probably even earlier than that. But I just thought that was a missed opportunity there for Adelman to give Joker a little bit of rest there before the end of the third quarter. And then same thing with Jamal. He takes him out with, I don't know, it was like 7 minutes to go, and he brings him back in like 40 seconds later. Now, it was after a TV timeout, so it was an extended, it wasn't just 40 seconds. I would say the actual time he was off the court was probably around 5 minutes. But I was sitting there like, man, I would have kept Jamal out like just a minute or a minute and a half longer there, and then had him as rested as possible for the last 5.5 to 5 minutes of tonight's game. All right, let's see here. Joe says, but when all is said and done, nobody is stopping the Thunder, so this loss doesn't matter. I saw something today that was actually kind of interesting that I didn't know about the Thunder. Now, the Thunder they're a wagon. Okay, let's not pretend that they're not, because they are. They're the defending champions. I don't even know if they played tonight. But as of last night, they were 15-1. They're 16-1, so they must have won tonight. They have, I believe, one of, if not the easiest schedule so far in the NBA. Meaning the opponents they've played have the lowest win percentage so far in all of basketball. Now, look, I'm not saying that Oklahoma City is fool's gold by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't know. The Nuggets don't even play the Thunder until February. So the Thunder have had a bit of an easy schedule here to start the year, but hey, I mean, they can only play the games that are in front of them, and they have been dominating. Their only loss is in Portland, and they lost by 2. But they've had a pretty easy schedule so far. They played the Pacers, who stink this year. The Hawks stink. The Mavs stink. Kings, Wizards, Pelicans, Clippers, Kings again, Grizzlies, Warriors, Lakers, Hornets, Pelicans, Kings, Utah. They beat Utah last night. Okay. Damn, that's an easy schedule. But yeah, it's way too early in the year to be thinking like that, Joe. Come on. It's November 22nd. And do you not remember the Nuggets took them to 7 games last year with Aaron Gordon playing on one leg? This team is much better. This Nuggets team that lost in 7 games to the Thunder last year are a much better basketball team than they were a season ago. So I would not count out the Nuggets yet. I think they have a very good chance of knocking off the Thunder in the playoffs this year. I really do. But it's going to be tough. But they can do it. I mean, I don't think there's any other team in the West that can knock off the Thunder besides the Denver Nuggets. All right, let's see here. Stolen Wi-Fi user says, dang, I really thought the Nuggets would win this because last season they took OKC to 7. What? Yeah, you're missing my point here. But thank you. Kevin says, what was AG's first diagnosis to begin with? I don't know. I just know it's a hamstring injury. That's all we know so far as Aaron Gordon's injury goes. So it's going to be, look, the Nuggets schedule, it doesn't really ease up over the next couple of weeks. Like they're in the thick of it right now, but it does continue. Like I said, they go on, they have to take a flight tomorrow and go back out on the road. So this isn't going to ease up anytime soon. They're traveling to Memphis, very winnable game. That game will be on Monday. And then they get Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off, which is good. And then they're back home against the Spurs on Friday for a cup game with no Victor Wembanyama. So 2 really winnable games coming up, and then they have to go to Phoenix the following night, the day after they play the Spurs, to take on the Phoenix Suns. So they'll have a back-to-back then. So they travel to Memphis, 3 days off, home game against the Spurs, road game against the Suns the following day, Sunday off, Monday at home against the Mavs, Tuesday off, and then they're in Indiana to kick off a 3-game road trip. So, yeah, but after that, it eases up. Now, there is a big gap from Sunday, December 7th to Thursday, December 18th, but that's where the league will sprinkle in the extra games that aren't accounted for with the NBA Cup, so they're not going to have all of that time off. But after that Sunday game on the road in Charlotte, the schedule does ease up a little bit, at least as far as the travel goes for the Nuggets. And then who knows? Maybe get Christian Brown back by the end of December. We'll see what happens with Aaron Gordon. But yeah, it's just I've been telling people, like, just be prepared to not have Aaron Gordon for at least a couple of months. That's just my guess. I don't know, but with the way that hamstrings typically go, with what we saw last year from Aaron Gordon, just on and off injury management of that hamstring, I would just imagine that the team is really going to play it safe this year and make sure that he is completely healthy before they bring him back. But tough loss for the Nuggets tonight, everybody. They fall to the Kings 128-123 is your final. We'll be back on Monday for reaction to Nuggets and Grizzlies. We'll talk to you then. Thank you so much for listening to In the Paint right here on Altitude Sports Radio.